Well, Greg Johnson, football features editor of the Squawka.com, a leading football website in England, joins us for more on this. Greg, what is really the scale of all of this, the scandal, child sex abuse in football in the United Kingdom?
Well, just to give you a sense of that, over 350 ex-footballers have rang up the helpline, set up especially for players who have been abused and want to disclose and talk about historical sexual abuse. And that was set up by the English FA and the NSPCC, which is one of the largest children's charities in the UK. There are apparently 55 clubs involved, 3 of which we know are in the Premier League. Southampton, Manchester City and Chelsea have all been associated with either former coaches or other links to the abuse scandal. And there are now 22 police forces in the UK now investigating these complaints and disclosures. And Greater Manchester Police say they have identified 10 suspects that they would like to speak to about it. One thing that has been said is that the scale of the phone calls to this helpline that was set up to speak to footballers who have suffered from sexual abuse in the past actually dwarfs the scale of calls that were received from the helpline that was set up following the story of Jimmy Savile and the abuse he committed.
Yeah, we actually heard that there were more than 800 phone calls that were received of people who claimed that they had been sexually abused while playing football in just 3 days since the helpline was set up. Now, did the police know, and did the football authorities actually know this was all going on? Has there really been a cover-up?
I mean, some people certainly would say there has been a cover-up. These cases, many of which actually went to court and people were convicted, like Barry Bennell, who's one of the paedophiles who formerly worked in football. He's been in and out of jail, I think, in 3 separate occasions for child sexual abuse convictions. So these crimes weren't unknown to the authorities, weren't unknown to the establishment. What's quite shocking now, given the amount of outrage and interest, it must be said, about these stories, is just how little interest there was in the past. In 1998, I think only one mainstream newspaper in the UK actually published a story about Barry Bennell being convicted in 1998. So, like I say, these kind of the predators, these paedophiles, weren't unknown within football. The bigger question is why the game and the media didn't react in such a serious way, in such a understandable way as they are now in the past. But in terms of a direct cover-up, I mean, there have been accusations of figures such as Dario Gradi, who's now the head of the youth academy and director of football crew at Alexandria. He's a long-standing, very respected figure at that club, and he's accused both by former directors at Crewe of trying to sweep this under the rug when people brought it up in the past, telling them it was none of the business of the club to kind of stop talking about these accusations. And he's also directly accused of offering hush money to a former victim. To a victim of abuse at Chelsea Football Club. So they're very serious allegations, and once the police investigations have continued, it will be interesting to see just what kind of offences people are accused of and how far it goes in terms of criminal cases.
Right, we will talk about Chelsea, and it's interesting you mentioned the media because we too are responsible. How many arrests have really been made though? Is it too late to bring justice to the victims?
Again, it's probably too early to say what action will be taken against specific clubs or specific cases. As I say, there's been a bit of criticism of the police over how slow they were to act in terms of launching these investigations, and I don't think we'll be able to say or predict what will happen until those investigations have come full circle.
All right, now how has this changed how football is run and seen in England now?
It's too early to say about how this will affect football in England and how football's seen. The UK has already been through the scandal of the Jimmy Savile scandal, and the huge, horrendous scale of abuse that he and his accomplices committed on children in hospitals and in the entertainment industry. And we obviously saw that led to many cases against former professional entertainers from the 60s, 70s, 80s. And some people have been found innocent, some people found guilty. But from by the sounds of it, this could dwarf that. If we go back to what I said about the helpline, the number of people ringing that to talk about their abuses, and that's apparently a higher volume than was recorded.
All right. You talked about Chelsea. Could there be action against clubs like Chelsea who have supposedly apologized profusely to a victim?
Again, it's probably too early to say what action will be taken against specific clubs or specific cases. As I say, there's been a bit of criticism of the police over how slow they were to act in terms of launching these investigations, and I don't think we'll be able to say or predict what will happen until those investigations have come full circle.
All right, Greg, thanks so much for joining us from UK at this point in time. It is really a big story, and we'll continue to track it very closely.